Hey family, welcome back to my desk. Can you help prepare the body of your deceased loved one after they have died on hospice? The short answer is yes, but there are a couple of things that I want you to consider. Before the body is actually taken to the funeral home or for cremation, there are quite a few things that take place after the last breath is taken. So, what I want to do inside of today's conversation is look at what some of those things are. And then, if you do decide to be a part of that process of preparing your loved one's body, some things that you might want to consider, okay? First, let's go over what happens to the body after the last breath is taken. Coolness on the body begins to change color, there's stiffness that occurs inside of the body. One of the things that I always tell family members at the point of death is this body is not the same body that it was literally 5, 10 minutes ago. The process of the body shutting down is still happening. There are still some things that are taking place physically with the body that a person should be prepared for. One of the things that I've seen inside of a lot of people's surprise is just how heavy the body is afterwards. You really don't realize until after death exactly what dead weight really is. Okay. A lot of people use that term, that something is like dead weight. You really don't know what that feels like until you actually go and try to move a dead body. Now, I've seen funeral homes and cremation centers send out single people, double people in order to assist moving bodies. I've moved quite a few bodies myself. So, what happens after the last breath? Well, the nurse is typically called. They will come and pronounce the body and give it a time of death. They will, while they're there, before the pronouncement, they will be listening for a heartbeat. They will be listening for breath sounds. They'll be listening for things that essentially would dictate life. The next thing that will happen is that they'll call the funeral home. One of the things that we always encourage whenever you're coming on hospice services is to select a funeral home as soon as the person comes on hospice care. Now, I know that this is hard. It's a very hard conversation that I have with a lot of my family members, but it is necessary. As a matter of fact, I always recommend inside of, just talking to family members that while you're selecting your loved one's funeral home, think about your own funeral home and share that with your family. If there's a local funeral home or a family funeral home or a service that you would love to have even your body inside of the stewardship of after you pass, have that conversation as well with your family. It's nothing to be afraid of to talk about death. But another thing that happens is that medications are wasted. Of course, you know that there are certain narcotics, some very strong medications that are what we call wasted. That's typically done with two people watching to make sure that there is no abuse of medications. And then we wait for the funeral home to arrive. Now, before the funeral home arrives, the body is then prepared inside of a certain way. So now, as we're waiting for the funeral home to arrive, there are some things that the nurse or the aide or the family can participate in. That is cleaning the body, that is dressing the body. Depending upon how the person passed, if their eyes are open, they'll close the eyes or they'll close the mouth. The main focus of what's happening to the body right after death is preserving dignity. You still want to make sure that the dignity of the person is still honored even after death and those moments after death. I've actually seen funeral homes show up with literal red carpets to facilities as they're taking bodies from the facility and into the van to be transported to the funeral home, which I think is a beautiful thing. One of the things I really want to note is that right after death, the preparation of the body is really a sacred work and not a technical task like a lot of people think it would be, like this one, two, three type of thing. Again, like I said, it's really preserving the dignity of the body of that person who has just passed away. Now, a lot of people ask, should families help? And I personally believe that yes, they should. And they could. Now, historically speaking, inside of various cultures, specifically inside of the East, family members are very well a part of the body preparation. They are very well a part of washing the body, anointing the body, dressing the body, positioning the body inside of the way that they would like. Over inside of Western culture, we've kind of handed that over to the funeral homes, which is 100% okay. But a lot of funeral homes will allow you, as family member, as caregiver, to take part of that preparation process. My advice is always going to be to ask the person who is showing up, what can you do to be of assistance? Word it exactly like that. How can I be of assistance? And then also, if there are some things that you want to do special for your loved one, this is your opportunity. If you'd like to place a card or a necklace or jewelry or a note inside of the pocket that they're going to be buried in, this is the perfect time to do it. Another thing that you want to ask the funeral director is what is permitted and what is sanitary, because that's going to be two big things that's going to occur after death. What can you legally do to a deceased body? And then also what you medically speaking, or I guess you could say sanitation wise speaking, can and cannot do. All right. So make sure that you ask those clarifying questions. A couple of things that I want you to think about if you are going to be a part of the preparation of the body of your deceased loved one. Just a couple of tips that I want to give you all. Mentally, prepare yourself emotionally before entering the room. Seeing a deceased person that you love is hard for the first time. Having those emotions settle in is very, very difficult, especially when it's, I hate to say fresh, but especially when it's recently occurred. Okay, so mentally prepare yourself for what you were going to see, especially if they were on hospice services and had a terminal illness. They will probably not look like they did inside of their final days, and they probably will not look like they did even weeks or months prior to coming on hospice service. Okay, physically, you've got to be prepared to work. Like I said, there are certain things that happen to the body, and we're so used to handling live bodies that are fluid, that are easy to move, that have some flexibility, that are not as heavy. So it is a task. It is a physical task. So I would say for you to prepare yourself mentally that it is going to feel different handling a deceased person, okay? Spiritually, one of the things that I recommend is just having a moment of silence, having a prayer, doing something, maybe even singing a song or playing a song before the preparation of the body takes place. In my opinion, one of the things that I've seen is that it really does center the moment and make it a very sacred moment instead of just a technical moment, like I said earlier, okay? So I just want to read this real quick because I believe that it's something that can really help and assist a lot of you. If your heart feels called to take part in preparing your loved one's body, know that it's an act of deep reverence and healing. But if you can't, that's okay too. Presence and love are powerful even without touch. One of the things that I've seen a lot of family members do and caregivers do is just stay with the body, be present with the body after death. You don't have to touch it. Just being present with it is a symbol of reverence. Okay? So even if it is just sitting, because sometimes it takes funeral homes hours to get to facilities and homes. Just depends on where they are and what time of the day it is, if there's traffic. So there might be time that the body is going to be lying in state for a minute. So one of the things that I've done as a hospice chaplain, if family is not around, I will, at the time of death, tell the family, I will stay here with the body until the funeral home arrives. And one of the things that it really does for the family is that it gives them a sense of peace that their loved one is not alone even in death. So I want us to learn that death is not something that is feared, but really an opportunity for us to show honor. And even in preparing bodies after death for funeral services or cremation, it really gives us an opportunity to be very, very intentional about how we choose to honor and remember those that we love. Again, thank you for joining me here at my desk. I'm Dr. Dandridge. This has been Designing Your Goodbyes. Do me a favor, just hit that like button. Help me spread this message to more individuals just like you so we can normalize the conversation regarding death as well as hospice services. And then put inside of the comments, is it something that you would consider doing when your loved one passes, actually preparing the body? Share this with somebody. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you inside of this next episode right here. As soon as you hit play, I'll be right there to welcome you.